In this video, we shall review Selenium IDE interface in details. We shall start with slides and then we shall switch to live Selenium IDE and review all those elements once again. So, here are basics like you may record, playback, save, etc. Here, record, open, save, control the test execution, and so on. You may see the list of currently loaded tests. You may see commands here of the current test case. You may comment or uncomment some command. You may see any command you have clicked on loaded here, command, target, value in those fields. You may see the execution log here. You may clear the log with this button. And this is very important. Once again, when you click any command here in the list, those fields are projected here. So you may edit anything here and view it here. The description field is a tricky one. Once this field is filled, the content is displayed here instead of the command. The real command is this. But you see what's displaying? This. And only when you put your mouse over the command, the real content will be shown. It's a rather unusual way of commenting, not used in any other programming language, but here it as it goes. At the bottom of Selenium IDE window, we've already seen the log. But the most interesting thing is here, the Reference tab. When you click any command and then click the Reference tab, you see some short manual about this command. What does it do? What arguments it takes? So the first argument is always from this column and the second argument is always from that column. There may be only two arguments for any command. Maybe one, maybe zero, but no more than two. Speaking about basic tools, you may run all test cases, you may run only current test case that is loaded here, you may run current test case step by step, you may change the execution speed, you may disable or enable breakpoints, we shall see it in a couple of minutes in live demo. You can turn on and off the pause on exceptions feature, so once again we shall see it soon. And you may resume recording at any time because Selenium IDE supports record and playback technology. And the last two buttons before we go to live demo. The first one allows you to select a target on a page, the element you want any command to deal with. And once you have any target here, you may check it, you may click this button. It will force the Selenium IDE to find the target on the page and highlight it, in case this target may be found. And now we are switching to the live demo. And so here's the Selenium IDE live as a Google Chrome extension. And we shall review the interface once again. We shall start with basic overview. For instance, here you have some tools to open, save, create new project. Here you have some tools to control your test case execution. Here you see the list of your test cases. Here you see the currently loaded test case. Here at the bottom you see the execution log, it's empty now. Here you see a reference for any command you select. You see how much tests were executed, how much failures are there. And now some more details. When you click any command, let's click this for instance, or maybe something with more parameters like this, you see that everything from the command column goes to the column field. Everything from the target column goes to the target field, and everything from the value column goes to the value field. And here it all is editable. You may change it here. Here you may only see it, but to change it, go here. As it was told a couple of minutes ago, this description field is a rather tricky one. Once filled, it replaces the command in the command column. Let's look closer at this first line here. When I'm hovering the mouse, the echo appears here. When I'm moving the mouse out, prepare variables appear there. Where does that prepare variables text comes from? From here it does. So if you fill this field, you create a kind of comment for your command. This is a rather unusual approach, but nevertheless it has the right to exist. If you somehow forget what a command does, you may always click the reference tab here at the bottom of the screen, and you'll see a short documentation with the description of arguments. You'll also see a link there, so you may click that link, follow it, and see more documentation online. Now we shall speak about these tools. The first button allows you to run all tests in the suite, so let's do it. And now you see that something is happening on the screen. All test cases in this suite are being executed right now, and that's good. If you have several test cases, you maybe want to run them all. But you may use this button if you only want to execute some single test case. For instance, I've loaded this test case here, and I'm clicking this button, Run Current Test. You see only this test was executed. Then I may switch back to all tests to see them all at once. The next command allows you to execute any test case step by step. Let's switch to this one, and then we see that every time I'm clicking this button, the test steps forward one command at a time. And I may switch to the application to see what's happening there. Now let's restart the test case and see it once again. I'm stopping it, and then I'm clicking this button once again. I prepare variables here, so we can see nothing on the screen. Let's just wait for the main logic to begin. Here is something interesting. Open. Let's switch to the application. Yes, this page was opened and all the fields are empty. Clicking once again, type something somewhere. We see a value was typed here. Then I'm clicking this button again and typing once again something here, and again. We see something useful here. So use this button if you want a kind of debugging. And you may stop this test execution or continue this text from the point you were paused on. With this slider, you may change your test case execution speed. Usually it's always set to the fastest one, but when you switch it to the slowest one, you may see with your own eyes the whole application work. Let's do it. Let's switch to the slowest speed and run all test cases. You can see how slow it is going. So slow. About 1 step per 2 seconds or something like that. So now I may switch to the application and see how slowly it does something. But it's useful because I can see easily what's happening here. Of course, no one has such a lot of time to wait, so we switch back to Selenium IDE, stop all that, and return the speed to the fastest one. And let's see how quicker it will be now. You see, a lot more speed here. Okay, let's stop it. What about breakpoints and what a breakpoint is? Imagine I want to debug this test case and for some reason I want the execution to stop here to let me analyze the situation, and then maybe here. So I am running this test case and you see it was stopped at the first breakpoint. And I may switch to the application and see, okay, something was typed, and I may analyze the situation. Then I click run and then the test stopped here. So once again I may switch to the application and see the current situation. And then go on. But what if I am not going to delete all those breakpoints, but for a couple of runs of my test case I want only to disable them? I may click this button, disable all my breakpoints, and now you see that the test case is not stopped at any breakpoint. And I may enable them back, so it will stop here and here. And then I may easily remove the breakpoints once I don't need them anymore. The next button allows you to pause your test cases on exceptions. How does it work? Imagine I'll intentionally break this test case using some non-existing locator, so there is no element with such name, and I am running all tests. You see that this test case has failed, but nevertheless all other test cases were executed. And for some situation that's good, even if this test case fails, if something is wrong there, if something fails there, still any other tests will be executed. But then I'm switching this pause on exceptions on, and I'm rerunning this test case again. You see that the execution was stopped here. We may switch to the log. Here is the last entry in the log, failure to detect such element. So if I want the Selenium IDE to stop at any exceptional situation, I'm enabling it. Otherwise, I'm disabling it. So now I have disabled it and I am returning this locator back in order not to damage anything. And now I may check if everything works. Yes, it does, it works. And the last button in this group is Record button. Once we click it, the Selenium IDE will switch to recording mode. And I may do anything useful here, like changing values, clicking on something, and so on. And then I may switch back to Selenium IDE, and you see that my actions were recorded. And then I may stop the recording. I may somehow edit those records, move them somewhere, but for now it was just an example, so I only delete them as I don't need them here. If I don't want to delete a command, but I only want to disable it for one or several runs, I may use this button, Disable or Enable Command. Let's click it. And you see such a sign appears here, so this command will not be executed. Let's rerun the test. Okay, this command is now shown in green. Yes, that's true. But for real, it was not executed. Here you may see the last entry in the log was about the 17th command, not the 18th one. And then I may enable it again. And the last two useful buttons here: selecting a target in the page or finding a target in the page. Let me add another command, like for instance assert element present. and I do not want to write the target here manually. I want to select it in the page. I am clicking this button, Selenium IDE is switching us to the application, and now it allows me to select any target on the page. Let's imagine I want this one. I'm clicking here, then I have to manually switch back to Selenium IDE, and you see the target was automatically acquired here. Then I use this button, let's click it, and now pay your attention to this element. I'll click it once again. You see that Selenium IDE was highlighting this element. And once again, if this target is correct and the element is present on the page, Selenium IDE will show it to you. And in general, that's all about Selenium IDE Interface basics. Of course, there is something more. There is always something more. But you can and you may refer to official documentation in order to get more deep knowledge. Still, this overview is quite enough for the beginning. In the next several videos, we shall discuss Selenium IDE commands and locators in more details.